It's Wednesday. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. Yep. Join us live. Go in the chat room, grab something to drink, grab some popcorn, grab your goat, and let's talk movies, shall we? We are going to talk about the Black Cauldron today, a Disney movie. But before we get there, we didn't do this last week so much. So why doesn't everybody check in and say what's going on? Who wants to start? Raise your hand. Jason.
I'm really, I'm really excited because Tuesday this book came out. It's called Living Folk Religions, and it's my first and last ever academic piece is in this book on Maiden Mother Crone and exploring the history of that. And yeah, so I'm really kind of thrilled that it's out. It's of course an academic book, so it's super expensive, but I'm still excited, and I'm still buzzing from seeing Duran Duran on Sunday night, which was so good. I felt like I was 9 again. You know, it's always good to be able to go back in time.
That's awesome.
Beautiful. And congratulations. That's great. Both Duran Duran and the book. So that's it. That's okay. That's okay. Richard-Lael, you look very dapper as always.
Thank you very much. Not a whole lot has been going on. I'm planning this party in Atlanta on the 2nd of September, so I'm eyeballs deep in that. So if you're going to be in Atlanta on the 2nd, this is a party you'll want to attend. I get to see Heather Greene there, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then in October, I'll be in Youngstown, Ohio, and then other little magic things that I'm working on. That's about it. No new family members this week. Just my boys and the clowns. That's about it.
Thank you. Heather.
Well, just have a lot going on personally with construction of my house, which has been ringing in my ear as I try to do all my reading all of my wonderful witchy manuscripts and working with authors, my usual day. But I, other than that, I did want to mention one thing is that I restore dolls, which is why I'm a big fan of haunted dolls and other kinds of dolls and all dolls. So I restore dolls. It's something I do as a hobby, very relaxing. And, so there's doll parts all around my house. And so I was sitting there and I had this extra doll. And I know that someone here, Courtney, mentioned that she had always wanted an American Girl doll, but could never afford it. So I have a ton of dolls that I'm restoring of the American Girl doll type. And so I had an extra one that was Courtney's doll that she wanted and never got. So I decided I would restore her and send it to her. So I'm going to be this is the first reveal. She's not fully done, but she is close to being fully done. So I figured I'd do a pre-reveal. Here she is. And so she is going to finish with her restoration. She just needs a little bit more done. And then she will be heading all the way to Salem to go to her forever home. So here she is. Big surprise, everybody. Look.
Already tidy.
Courtney is actually going to have a real doll.
Thank you, Heather. This Heather sent me this text and I did not see where it was going, but she was like, what was the name of the doll that you wanted? And I had, growing up, always wanted an American Girl doll. My friends had them and I never had them. And I had kind of a rough childhood. So it was Felicity, and I remembered her being brave. Like that was what I connected with, was that her story was that she was brave. And so I was like trying to rack my brain, and I think it's this one, and I think it was because of this or whatever. And Heather immediately was like, yep, this is her story, and I remembered her. And then I didn't know why she was asking me, but then she sent me a text and said, I have one and I'd like to restore her for you. And I burst into tears, and my inner child was healed in that moment. It was I can't thank you enough, Heather. I know that is shocking for anybody watching that I would actually ever want a doll, but this was the only doll as a kid growing up that I ever actually wanted. And look at her, she's so beautiful.
What's really exciting is when we decide what soul to put in the doll so that it's haunted for you forever. That's really going to be the cherry on top of the gift.
She is beautiful, and she looks like she could be your kid, Courtney. She's not her.
Yes,
I
she's
love
very
her
pretty.
so much.
Yep, she will be. I just gonna make her little pink curls more perfect, and just get her dress a little bit ironed, and then she'll be headed to you for her. Like I said, for her forever home. I have a ton of them. I like to restore them and find them new homes, clean them up, customize them, do that, and find new homes for them to have new friends. So that's one of my weird hobbies. And I do the older dolls too. And I just got a 120-year-old doll that I'm going to do some restoration on. I will reveal her next week after I fix her rear end, which is leaking sawdust right now. So she's not.
I have that problem.
Yeah, it's a leather dolls, right?
So does Black Phillip.
Yeah, see, so we'll restore her and bring her down. But this one's headed to Salem in probably by next week. I think you'll have her.
I'm so happy, Heather. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm happy for you and for her.
I can't wait to love her.
Oh, she will love you back.
I can't wait to see Dusty Butt.
I know.
That's something to look forward to.
Her name is Gladys. We're not going to talk about her right now.
Okay.
I did see the preview. She's beautiful. I can't wait for the reveal of Gladys. She's stunning.
Yeah, she is stunning. I can't wait to show you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Heather. All right, Courtney, on to you.
I mean, how do I follow that up? But yeah, my big news for this week was that I saw The Little Mermaid, the new one. Very excited about that. I was very nervous because I don't automatically love these live action movies that they're like the remakes that they're doing. Lion King was a travesty and should have been burnt on the cutting room floor. As far as I'm concerned, I did love Aladdin, but I thought this movie was like so crucial to my childhood and I was so afraid. And I, for the entire movie, sobbed, like violently sobbed. There was not just like tears leaking out of my eyes. I was like, because it was so beautiful. It was so well done. The songs were beautiful. Ariel was beautiful. And it was absolute and utter perfection. And everyone that I've talked to that has seen it has said the same thing. So run, don't walk, and go see it.
Thank you. And anything else new?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if this is a little PG, but
whoa.
Look what we got, Heather.
I see that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I wore it special today for this movie. But yeah. I can't this is the best because last week while we were talking, we flashed up our producers flashed up some new t-shirt on the screen, and I scanned the QR code, which is up in the corner right now. There it is. And I was so distracted from people. People were talking to me. You guys were talking to me, and I wasn't paying attention because I was busy ordering these two t-shirts. So I also have this one. And it has the Witches Movie Coven on the back. So head over to Mystery Control and have no self-control like I do and order everything. So.
Soon all of our movie reviews will just be on a shirt.
I know.
Like we won't have to do wands up. We'll just reveal what's on our shirt.
Look, Tabitha bought one too.
And speaking of Tabitha, we want to thank you for that lovely note that you gave us. It was really so heartwarming and so beautiful. And Heather Greene didn't mind it.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tabitha. That was beautiful. So thank you, Courtney. We love your outfit. You are the dresser of the group. I've had
when in doubt, wear a merch.
Yeah. I've had a good week. I just got back from Dallas, Texas, doing a 3-day thing at Miracles of Joy, which was great. But floods are following me around. I am not taking responsibility just because I called some water dragons, but day 2, all of a sudden their whole shop was flooded, which is happening to everywhere I go, but they'll get through it. But it was really fun. And I'm leaving for Ventura this weekend for Stefan Brigatti for a Pacific Coast Pacific Coast Paracon, all sorts of fun people. And then next week, Las Vegas. I'm going to be at the Halloween Emporium and Haunted Tea Room. My first time in a Hollywood Halloween Emporium Haunted Tea Room. So I'm on the road, and these, I might be able to take Black Phillip to Ventura with me to see how he does. I'm very excited. So that's it. Everything is good. So yeah, all sorts of great things. Mystery Control while you're there buying Courtney's quotes everywhere. Check out my power panties. Check out my spellcaster. Check out all of our Witches Movie Coven stuff. So that's what we're doing. And we want to know what you guys are doing too. So put it in here. Just tell us. We like when you guys participate. All right. I guess we can get to the movie. Use code Patti, 25% off. That makes it, they're practically giving them away.
And I was in such, don't be like me. I was in such a rush. I forgot. So I paid full price. And it was worth it. I also have to say, just really quick, Patti, your spellcaster line, I bought the rainbow. I think I've worn it on here before, but the rainbow witch hoodie. And it is still hands down, as you can see, I own a lot of them. Hands down my favorite hoodie that I bought from Mystery Control. It's so comfy.
Thank you. Yes, Mystery beautiful things. We want to thank our producer Christine, who's really good at getting this all figured out, and Rob. So, oh wow, was that a music? Did that come in? Was that one of you, or was that like sound effects from the heavens?
That was me kicking my desk. I'm sorry.
It came on. It was power panties with a boom.
It was not a doll. Not a doll wants some power panties.
I guess that is good.
He did just wink at me. I always stare at Not a Doll. It's just hypnotic.
It is. It is. And Not a Doll moves.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Jason.
Yeah. Oh wait. Colin.
Jason broke Not a Doll, so Not a Doll doesn't like him.
Oh.
All right, Colin. We're working on that. I just see Colin said he tried to order. They tried to order Patti's power patties. They don't ship internationally yet. We're working on that. We are, because I want everybody to have whatever of our Mystery Control stuff to do it. So we're hearing you. So all right, let's movies. Witches talking about movies and witches in movies. The Black Cauldron. It was my first time watching, and I'm not going to start. Who wants to start?
I'll start. It was 1985. And I kept expecting Doc Brown to show up and take us back to 1955 so that Walt Disney and tell him, don't make this movie. Don't make this movie. But of course, Doc Brown never showed up. And 1986 happened and 1987 happened. And, however many years later, we're here discussing this wonderful film that, that's about it. That's what I'm going to say right now. I'm not going to go much further right now.
Okay. Well, Heather, do you want to give us the book talk on it from your beautiful book? Do you have things to say about the film itself before we say how much we loved or didn't love it?
Yeah, there's a couple of things you can say about this film that are important. So this, in terms of witch films, was made during a period of time when we weren't in a witch film era. So it was after that. Most of the films that contain magic or adjacent type of witchy characters even were high fantasy. So during this period of time, think of Dark Crystal, think of Conan the Barbarian, even cartoon shows like Smurfs and what's the other one? Skeletor, He-Man. So this really is a period of time where we see a lot of this, what we call high fantasy or this medieval based fantasy in live action and stuff. That's where we're seeing most of the witches. So this fits into what was being offered at the time in terms of magical films. Okay. That's number one. Number two, and most of the witches are very typical as they are in this one. The other important part of this is how it fits into Disney's history, because it's a really interesting film in that it was, so from the late 60s into the 70s, Disney was falling apart. They even threatened to take over it by the late 70s. There was talks of takeovers. It was doing so poorly. Walt died in 66. Roy Disney died in 71, I believe. And it just was faltering. And it was going between new animators who were coming on board wanting to do fresh stuff that kind of harkened back to the old days when they were successful. And then the old guys who just kept repeating and repeating and repeating and weren't really moving with the times. Because as we all know, the 70s was a big changing period for our country and entertainment. So Disney was really struggling to find itself. There was a lot of bad movies or just okay movies, both live action and animated during the 70s. Rescuers, which I enjoyed, but it's not something you're going to write home about. And things like The Cat from Outer Space was
Escape
a live
from
action.
Witch Mountain.
Escape from Witch Mountain is another one. There's a lot of them you can name. You go, oh yeah, I remember that. We talked about Bedknobs and Broomsticks, another one from that era that just fell short. So Disney was really struggling. So by the early 80s, they hired Eisner, someone else, to come over and turn the company around. So he does. Now, what does he do though? He says, okay, we've got this movie and Black Cauldron and The Great Mouse Detective. It says, let's finish those up, get them out and be done with them. So these were holdovers from the older period, from the period they were struggling with. Eisner was aiming the company quickly in different ways, eventually leading to 1989 when the original Little Mermaid came out and the company found its feet again. So this was one of the last ones from the difficult period. I called it the dark ages of Disney when I was doing my dissertation. It's funny. So they tried to bring it back holograph. It didn't work. They used the multi-plane camera for the first time. I just found some notes. Tim Burton said this is the movie that made him get out of animation. He did not want to do animation after he saw this film. Tons of people left. They joked about it. I mean, it was a massive disaster. And sometimes they say that it almost killed Disney. It almost destroyed the company. So that's my little talk. And I could talk about this for hours because it's so interesting what happened to Disney in during this time, but whatever.
What I find fascinating here, Heather, is that this film cost at a time, because they used animation via computer was so expensive in those days. And they did it for the Cauldron and for the Magic and for the Bubbles. And it was computer animated. It was very expensive. This film cost $20-some million.
25, yeah.
$25 million, and it only made like $22 million. Ironically, the Care Bears movie cost $2 million the same year. It cost $2 million to make and made $20 million. So
one of the saddest things about this, though, is that this is based on a real property, not on a fairy tale. This is Lloyd Alexander's Pride and Chronicles. There are 5 of those books. I grew up reading those books in junior high school. They won Newbery Awards. They were quite acclaimed. And for any pagans out there, they're based on the Mabinogion, Welsh mythology, or the Mabinogi, as Dave the Bard just told me is the correct pronunciation. But so there's like this really kind of great pagan history to these, and they botched the whole story. This is a combination of the Book of Three and the book called The Black Cauldron. Lloyd Alexander said that he barely recognized the characters and the story. It had all changed so much over the course of Disney putting this all together.
Yeah, I felt like it's a combination of it's a combination of the Smurfs and He-Man is what you're looking at. That's the quality. That's the quality you're getting here, which is really, you put the two together, you get this movie. But it was the first one to use computer animation, and they were so excited to be able to do a fairy tale-esque lore story again. They were 10 years they were working on this movie, which should tell you that it's not going to be successful in the first place. Movies that go on that long never are successful. So
also the first PG Disney movie and the first Disney animated movie with no songs. So it was a radical departure from everything else that had come before. Yeah. And apparently in test screenings, the ending was so terrifying they had to adjust it because kids were like leaving the theater and like crying and screaming.
And I wish they would have left that in. Actually.
Yeah, I wish there was a cut. I wish there was an original cut of the film.
It is scary. And it's funny. We talked about how some of these other films, we talk about how Maleficent and and the Evil Queen are so scary, and they were so scary. And Wicked Witch, those are nothing compared to this. With the what's his face? The Horn, is he called the Horn King?
The Horn King, yeah.
The Horn King. That's scary. And I frankly don't remember seeing it in the 80s. I know I did. I know I saw it, but I don't remember. It must have not had an effect on me.
Well, the thing is, even I just watched this film, and even if I would have watched it in the 80s, there's not one thing that I can actually remember. It's like you said, it's a bad episode of the Smurfs meets He-Man. It really is. It's pretty
unfortunate.
It is. It's most unfortunate. One of the things though that I will tell you that I couldn't stand, that it was what's his name? Gurgi. I kept wanting him to say, "My precious."
Yeah. The character
awesome.
of Gollum was based on Gurgi, and Andy Serkis has said that he was inspired by the Black Cauldron's Gurgi.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so you're right on the money there, Richard-Lael.
Wow. Yeah, we have one person over here in the comments said that Don Bluth left Disney so he could actually make animated movies, and that's true, and that happened right before this time. He was one of the new animators that wanted to make classic animated movies in a good way, and he was frustrated with the turmoil at Disney at the time, political turmoil inside the company. So he left, and he wound up doing American Tail at that time, and The Secret of Nim. I loved The Secret of Nim when it came out. Oh, it's so good. And I loved American Tail too. So he actually was more successful with these films during this period of time in the 80s. So that was a smart move on his part, I have to say.
I had trouble staying with it. I had so much trouble staying with it. I was just, okay, let me watch the paint on the wall. Let me watch it. But the part that really bothered me is it seemed like it was all this like almost like critter cruelty or animal cruelty, and I just can't handle that. Even the little Grugy or whatever his name is, like they're so mean to him. I just thought it was cruel. And I couldn't get past that. Is that just me, or was it just they just put extra cruelty?
There was a lot of cruelty in that, and I did get a little giggle because he says, "Oh, Gucci bad, beat Gucci, beat him in the head."
I know, and those big buffoon guys. It's like so stereotypical. Yeah, I didn't like it. I couldn't even get past the pretty colors or the pretty anything. It was just, they were too mean to everybody. And I didn't care about anybody good enough to care about anybody.
I literally just finished watching it as we were coming live, and I'm sure that I saw it. Excuse me. I'm sure that I've seen it probably multiple times before, because I tried to watch it the other day with my son, and as soon as I said, this is the movie that we're watching, he was like, oh my God, this is the best movie. Oh, I love it. And he's obsessed with it. He loves it. But he also likes like the Dark Crystal. And so I think it's very much in the same vein. But he's watching, we put it on, and 3 minutes in, I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I forgot how great this movie is. Oh, it's the best movie. Like, I just watched it again. None of that triggered anything for me. Like, I don't ever remember watching any of this. But like, I have to agree, Patti, the only part that really got me was at the end. I was like, again, I'm like, I have it on and I'm paying attention to other things while I'm listening to it. But when he's going to jump in the cauldron, and then Gurgi says, no, like Gurgi has no friends. And then he leaps off the thing into the cauldron. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I am not emotionally stable enough to be watching this. Like, this is not okay. He just dives off the cauldron. But I will say one thing, I will give it this, like the sidekicks for me in this, like the quintessential Disney sidekicks, it felt like there were so many of them, and I kind of did enjoy them a little bit. Like I wasn't connected to the story, but like the cute things with the weird voices and whatever, like, and then in the beginning when they were talking about what's the pig?
Henwen.
Okay.
He's actually based off of a goddess, but go on.
Oh, well, okay, great. Because the one thing that I really did connect with was the way that they were talking and treating Henwen in the beginning. And I was like, why can't this be my life? And they were like, oh, just feed the pig and brush the pig and let the pig be a pig. And I was like, me? Like, why not me?
Next time I see you, I'll brush you and feed you.
I'll be like, oh, why does the pig have visions? Like, okay.
The pig was awfully cute.
Yeah. So that was that, and the way that they kept
some
calling him
pig.
like
Some
some
pig.
pig, yeah.
It looks like Charlotte from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
I mean,
TW. It's the period,
yeah.
same period of time too. The animation. It was such 80s animation.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think like and the way that they kept calling him like the pig, like everyone else was like, I think there was one quote and I couldn't really find it, but they were like, you know, I was looking for like a lord or like a, you know, a fierce warrior, and he's like, no, I'm just a pig keeper. And she was like, oh, well, I guess you could just like come along then because like you're useless.
Assistant
Okay.
pig keeper. He's
Thank you.
He's or as they call him also in the film, Pig Boy. You hear that?
Pig Boy, Pig Boy, over and over again. It was like Pig Boy, and I felt sorry for the pig, even the magical pig. Everybody. I cried for the animals. I cried for whatever they were.
But the heroine, the fairy woman, Princess Peach,
Elanui. I just couldn't stand her voice. I really just wanted her to shut up. Hello.
Talk about cruelty to animals. That was cruelty to these pig ears. That was.
This is making me cry today. You know, I expected people not to like this film. I remember when it came out, it made no impression on me at all, and I had read the Chronicles of Prydain before. And I remember I finally found it in the 90s and I was like so excited. And then I was heartbroken when I watched it because they get so many of the characters wrong. Gurgi is not a little bear badger thing. He's basically like a Sasquatch, a skinny Sasquatch who can ride horses. Very much kind of the European wild man myth. Fluter Flam is not 80 years old. He's young. He's got pretty hair. He's taller. He's quite regal. They got Fluter Flam completely wrong.
Curl.
Yeah, I don't know why I like Fluter Flam so much, but there's something about him that I really like. And Elanui, of course, has red hair and not blonde hair, though some of her characterization is on point. So there's a lot about this movie that I hate, but John Hurt as the Horn King gives an absolutely terrific performance. Terrifying. Some of the art is beautiful. The backgrounds, the character design for the Horn King is absolutely terrific, as is the cauldron itself. There's also sort of the end credit scenes where there's just some really, really pretty art. I want this to be a great film, and I know it's not, but at the same time, I just can't hate it entirely. And I find things to like about it while I'm watching it. But maybe just because I like the original story so much.
Don't you think, though, and maybe, Jason, this would be for you, that given what Disney does with their live animations, they run out of ideas and they try to keep themselves relevant and they try to keep these stories in line. Now, they may be good. The Little Mermaid is the #1 film this week. And we got a glowing recommendation from our own Courtney Buckley. But given today's standards of film, do you think it is possible that they could revive it and make it better with a live action?
It would be fantastic if they took the 5 books. They could skip Karen Wanderer book 4, but if they took the 5 books and turned it into a live action show for 4 or 5 years, it would be outstanding, and I would cry.
They should try to do it again, and they should do it right. You know, they have a lot, but and they have to have the interest. They could have done it in the 2000s when this type of film was popular again, when we were seeing the Lord of the Rings and high fantasy. So if they wait, or if we see signs of high fantasy coming back, they should try again, because I think the premise, and you can see in it, the premise, there is a story there. They just didn't focus on it. And I think they probably, and 10 years, 68, I think I had 68 different animators working on it. It's going to fail, you know, and then they rushed it out to get rid of it. So there was a lot of problems with it that had nothing to do with the attempt to animate again. So I wouldn't mind if they tried again. I think there's something there.
So what
I said it, didn't I, Richard-Lael? You're pointing at me. I didn't mind. No, I did mind the movie. I'm not going to say that. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they tried again.
I would. But what do you think that is? Okay, like if it's based on good books, real story, they know what they're doing. Is it like death by committee or something? They couldn't agree. I just always wonder when something like crashes so badly.
Well, in the case of this one, the actual there was infighting with the animators and the artists when all of this was happening. They changed from CEO to CEO from who was running the overall company. And they just kept churning out bad ones that were not pulling in profits. Literally from my research, there was talk about the company being taken over. That's how bad they were doing in the 70s. So, I think the problem was more of the fight over the creativity of, are we going to go back and do the old stuff? Do we want to do new stuff? Are we going to bring back this? What are we going to bring back? And, so you had these new animators and then these older guys called what are they called? The 9 old men who were around forever. They're aging, not in touch with the times, wanting to keep doing the same old thing. And then you have the newer ones wanting to innovate, but try to, so I think it just was a mess. It was just a mess of a period of time. So unfortunately, this was a victim of that. So I think it would be great for them to try again. I think there's story there, definitely.
It just doesn't hit the Disney formula either. I mean, if you look at Disney's formula, this is not the right movie for that formula. And they were really focused on the formula for a very long time. And to do such a thing, which was such a radical departure, I think it was always going to fail. It was just set up that way.
One thing I have to say that they did do right, and maybe you guys will agree with me, maybe you won't, but in the very beginning of the movie, Black Phillip made an appearance.
That is
the
true.
goat is good.
Yeah.
And they called him the Horn God, and he was angry.
He was angry.
He was. And speaking of, who is Black Phillip's friend, Jason?
I have many goats, and I always feel bad because I don't have any dolls. So I just thought I would bring out all of the stuffed goats over time. This is my mini goat, and he's very cute, and he's just hanging out with Black Phillip.
I see another one behind you.
Yeah, there's a
little baby goat.
Another one behind me.
Yeah, right above your head.
Oh,
I'm pointing like you can see where I'm.
Yeah,
that looks like a witch.
That's actually not the goat. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is. I see it. It's a little white one.
No, that's another one just like this. It's like a Thai beanie baby goat because people give me plush goats as gifts.
I love that.
Yeah, it's nice.
And Thai beanie babies are so valuable, especially in 1991.
Right, just 6 years after this movie. We need that time machine. I'm just waiting for that DeLorean to show up, right?
No, back to the past, not back to the future.
Well, the second movie they were in the future.
I guess.
Yeah,
that's okay.
But they were in our past because they went to what 2020. I know it's a different film. 1985, 1955, 2020.
One?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And then 1885 and then 1985.
Aside from that,
so going back, I hear keyboard clicking.
I'm looking.
I just wondered what T-shirt Courtney was ordering.
I know, Courtney.
So this so as I said, this movie killed Disney. And honestly, personally, I've always been a huge Disney fan. I spent all of my master's degree studying Disney and my dissertations on Disney animation, so I spent a lot of time on that, and have just been watching it for all these years, and saw all the movies through. And I think it was this movie, and then maybe even The Great Mouse Detective. It was this period of time where I stopped going to the theaters to see Disney movies, and I cannot. I just was like, I'm done. They're horrible. I don't want to watch them anymore. I'm not interested. And then, so I never saw the movie that brought back Disney in the theaters, and that was The Little Mermaid in 1989. And I did not see that movie in the theater, which is like, for me now going back, I go, I can't believe I did not see that movie in the theaters when it came out, because I didn't go because it was going to be another Black Cauldron or Great Mouse Detective. So I'm like, I'm not going to go. But so I did see it in the theater since then. But
there are videos of me as a, like however young I was, 3-4-year-old kid, at every family gathering, like Christmas, that I would insist that everyone gathered around me. And I had a little cash register that had, it was like a shopping play thing. It had like the little microphones. You could be like, clean up on aisle 12. And I would remove that microphone from the cash register and I would belt Part of Your World. very, very seriously though. Like I was like in it. Like it was a performance. It was not just, and there's videos of that. And everybody had to clap or else I'd do it again. So
as much as I am not a fan of Disney, I have a little dark secret.
You have a Black Cauldron?
I do have a Black Cauldron, but in 1989, I was obsessed with The Little Mermaid, and I wanted to be the Little Mermaid, and I was in love with Prince Eric. Yeah.
Prince Eric.
I was in love with Prince Eric. I was in love with him. He was so beautiful with his dark hair
and the blue eyes.
Oh, he was beautiful. I was just in love. And I was strangely fascinated by The Sea Witch, which I know this is not the film that we're talking about, but that is the film that succeeded and brought Disney back from disaster.
And I think the key thing to that is what someone said. I think it was Jason that said it earlier, was that this Black Cauldron had no music. Now, Walt Disney loved putting music. That was one of the things that got him going with the silly symphonies and doing animation and music. That's was part of his shtick. And there isn't a lot of music, but music is important in a lot of the older films. This one had no music that is notable of any kind. And so when they redid it, when Eisner turned the boat around and started facing the ship in this direction, they not only brought music back, but they made it, and they brought in Howard and Ashman, or Mencken and Ashman, and then several others, and they brought them in. And as soon as I realized that, so now they were combining Disney with Broadway, and my two worlds were coming together, and I was like, this is all I need. I was so excited. And I was in after that and saw all the preceding ones in the theater, of course.
There's an alternate universe though, where the Black Cauldron has music and songs like Not Just an Assistant Pig Keeper and
I would love it.
I'm Making an Army of the Dead and Rumblings and Grumblings when you're introduced to Gurgi. And I would really like to see that.
I think that would be fantastic to turn it into a Broadway musical, Jason. I think you're onto something.
Yes, I
would see it.
And I just want to say, because it just died 2 days ago, speaking of music and beautiful music in Disney films and things, my friend Milt Larson just died 2 days ago. He was the starter of the Magic Castle, and he had the Variety Arts Center. I've worked with him since I don't even think I was 21 years old. And he wrote things with Richard Sherman from like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins and all that. I mean, he made a nice old 92. He was at the club till late the night before. He died in his sleep. So he did it all right. But I'm going to miss that guy. I've known him my entire adult life. So goodbye, Milt. Bye, Milt Larson.
Speaking of magic and Milt Larson, magic in this film. There was a certain amount of magic, and I like Henwen. It is actually a Welsh goddess, and she is oftentimes depicted as a white pig because it's a sign of the mother and fertility. And the witches, by the way, were hilarious. I loved them. They were great. They were stereotypical, but they were great.
Why was the one witch wearing the headband? It was like an exercise headband. I couldn't get over that. It was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
I thought it was so good. It was so good.
Into the oldies.
She was doing aerobics and stuff. Yeah. Until she kept her girlish figure.
I love it.
She's listening to Olivia Newton-John.
They were so. It's the classic Macbeth witches that are used in all of the things, and they actually their skin turns green at one point. It goes back and forth. I can't remember. They get angry, and I think the skin turns green when they get angry. So
she is with her headband. She's right there with her headband.
Yeah, did she? It passed. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Yeah. So they're very stereotypical. They were perfect, but they, if we're talking about things that kind of made us scratch our heads and wonder, is what I couldn't get over was that he threw the pig over into the moat. And then that was it. And then you don't see Henwin to the end again. And I kept going, like, aren't you worried? I'm like, you just threw the pig into the moat and then that's it. I'm like, I had that on my head the whole time. I'm like, what about the pig? What about the pig? Well, sorry. That was what was bothering me the whole time.
Animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty. Go jump, Henwin. And then he throws Hen. You would think he would try to get out and go find her right away, but then he gets absorbed into the whole thing, and
he's dealing with witches and Gurgi, who just sacrificed his poor self for the good of the world.
Too soon. I'm not ready to talk about that part.
Yeah.
Gurgi. Yeah.
That's the only emotional punch
Gurgi
in the
has
whole
no
film.
friends.
I loved the quote that Mary Jane pulled up, because the young one, Mary Jane says, the young witch, the only funny quote in the film, you don't mind if I pluck your harp. That one I did actually laugh out loud with. I went, that's a double entendre.
Yeah, those witches were good. They were okay. But I think still most of it was very much like a Saturday morning cartoons, which probably a lot of people don't remember or don't know what they were, Courtney, right? They didn't have Saturday morning cartoons.
I had Saturday morning cartoons.
Did you? I don't know when they ended.
Listen, this movie came out in 85. I came out in 86. So I was right behind it. I used to watch X-Men.
Spider-Man, the Tick.
Spider-Man, The Tick. I used to watch. There was a whole host of them. I was big into like the Ninja Turtles, all the Saturday morning cartoons.
When did that end? I don't even know.
When cable when cable came in, like
probably 90s.
Yeah, late 90s.
Okay. Well, that was a big thing. I mean, an hour and a half with the Smurfs. And the whole time, that's all I could see was this is definitely He-Man on the Smurfs.
But I actually loved the Smurfs.
I did. I loved the Smurfs, but they were the Smurfs and Gargamel and Azrael.
The animation in this is a lot better than those cartoons. I mean, because I still watch some of those cartoons, and this animation is fluid. If you ever watch the original He-Man show, and if you look closely behind me, you can probably see a display of He-Man stuff with the wide-angled stuff. That animation is complete garbage. This is good animation. It's just not particularly a well done story.
Yeah, I think their animation could have been better.
I don't like the character designs. I really hate the character designs.
That's what I'm talking about. Is the characters themselves look very simple compared to what Disney normally does. That's exactly right. The backgrounds and the king, he's way more complex. So maybe that's part of the creativity arguments they were having.
There's a couple of pictures of Richard Burton's character designs, and they are awesome. They're floating around online. However, they just probably they shouldn't be in a Disney movie in 1985. But maybe now, because things have changed. I think you can be a little bit more adult in a Disney movie than I think you could back then.
Right. That's true.
All right. Well, I guess we've talked it. So I guess we have one thing left to do, and that's vote on it. Okay. We want you guys out there. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Tabitha. Hi, everybody. So wands up, wands down. The Black Cauldron, 1985 Disney movie.
It is a noble failure. It is a failure, but it is a noble failure. And I do think it is worth watching. I do think that there are some redeeming qualities. I am usually the one doing the thumbs down, and I am giving this a 50-50, 55-45, kind of up. Not enthusiastic, but I still think it's worth watching. Just watch it for John Hurt, who's fantastic as the Horn King. That creepy voice and the good animation. Sorry, I'm very passionate about these things.
I feel like I can't give it a full ones down just because I felt so represented by the pig that got fed and brushed, and so that's where I'm at. And because R.I.P. poor Genji or whatever, Gurgi.
Gurgi.
Poor Gurgi.
Yeah.
I I'm sorry. I didn't mean
It's
to.
okay,
cut you
you're
off.
good.
I agree with Jason. You should watch it because I think you should watch everything. And to know it's good, you need to see what's bad. But I have to say, a comment in the thing, it says you all would probably hate The Last Unicorn. And I'm just gonna say I love The Last Unicorn.
I do too. I love that. I love it.
Absolutely love The Last Unicorn. It's a totally different movie.
Okay, so I'm looking at everybody writing. We've got ups, we've got downs, we've got half and half, which is up. Juan's neutral for overall. Down, more downs than up. I'm down just for animal cruelty. Sorry.
I don't need to see it to say down. Lisa, you're killing me. That just hurts. Hurts me. Such formative books. I've wanted to be an assistant pig keeper in the 7th grade.
Oh my god. I feel like if we had watched The Sword in the Stone, Jason's wand would have been up here. Because
I'm not a fan of that. I just don't think Disney does this type of story very well, for whatever reason. But yes, you'll get my thoughts on that movie soon enough, I think.
Okay. So you guys decide. If you haven't seen it, everybody says you should still sort of see it. You don't mind animal cruelty.
It's okay, Lisa. We're still cool. But I'm just, there's a lot of tears internally tonight.
And it didn't have that many great quotes, right?
No.
There's not, 1, 2
No.
quotes. No.
Yeah, I struggled to. I looked for you guys. Because that's become like my thing, and I love it because I just want to buy more T-shirts. But I couldn't find anything. Not a lot, because I think the Gergie has no friends bit just took everything else out of my head, and that was terrible. And I don't want to buy a T-shirt of that. So.
And then he comes back. He makes the bargain. I want my friend back, and then he's dead.
Yeah,
he comes back.
He comes back to life.
Munchies and crunchies.
At the end.
Yeah,
munchies and crunchies. Yeah,
he's dead for a good 30 seconds.
It's too depressing.
Yeah, it's a good cartoon death in that era, where everybody dies for 30 seconds, and then Orko returns on Masters of the Universe. It's just how that worked at the time.
Okay, well, we're mixed bag as always, leaning towards down, but it is pretty, as we see right there. It is pretty.
That's not even really what the animation looks like in the film. I mean, that's much more colorful and sharp.
Yeah, that's closer right there.
Yeah.
The backgrounds are very pretty though. I did like the backgrounds.
And the music's pretty good too.
I love the music.
Yeah.
Also, I love all of the singing. That's my favorite part.
The Broadway musicals?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Not just an assistant pig keeper. I will find a life of thrills and adventure.
Good boy. Yeah, we can do it. We can do the
yeah. I like the Army of the Dead possibilities. There's a lot that we can do with that song.
Raising an
and
army
the love
of
story.
The dead. An army of the dead. Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And a love song between the two, a little tension, make them a little older. I think that would work very nicely.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Somebody just asked, Robert just asked, what is the book series it was based on?
The Chronicles of Pryday. This is an adaptation of the first 2 books, the Book of 3 and the book called The Black Cauldron. Also, make sure to read The Castle of Lear and The Final Battle and even Terran Wanderer. I love all of them so much.
Okay.
And the books were based on Welsh mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Cool. I don't know what we want to do next week. We do want you guys' opinions on things. If anybody has any thoughts, have we been discussing what we're going to talk about next week at all before we check in?
We have a list.
We do have a list. And our producer kept asking us in the chat, and none of us answered.
Shame on us.
Yeah,
I can look right now. We'll have to discuss it and then announce, I guess.
I guess we will discuss it and then announce. So everybody has to wait. Hocus Pocus. We did
Hocus Pocus.
We did it. You have to watch one of the old ones on YouTube. I know there's ones we always say we should do and we never do, but I never remember what they are.
One of the ones that Disney made at this period of time that was a big flop that we might want to do is, yes, Warlock 1989. Sorry, I just got that. We've talked about doing that one. But it was something Wicked This Way Comes was one of their live actions that was made around, I think it was 82 maybe. That's another one we could do. It was interesting. I remember liking that one when it came out, but it was a flop too.
Okay. Let's do a non-flop.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Let's do a non-flop. I would just vote for that. But anyway, we have a few minutes left. We kind of already checked in, but does anybody have anything coming up that they want to do or say?
I will be in Orlando next weekend for Summer Magic Fest, which is a new indoor pagan magical gathering, like a mile from the airport in Orlando, which is pretty exciting. So really thrilled to be going to that. I'm a fill-in for Ivo Dominguez Jr., who recently had a heart attack. I love you, Ivo, because he's like one of the best people I've ever met. So I'm going to try to do as well as he can, which is not possible, but still fun to be out on the road doing pagan stuff, talking about things that aren't bad movies.
Yeah, and there's lots of different things coming up. I'm doing Witches Fest, I think, but I'm not going to New York because there's online stuff and other stuff. Got that one coming up, and I'm not even sure when that is.
It's in July.
I forgot to mention, you guys will be very proud of me. I've finally started sleeping with the lights off again.
Bravo!
Yay!
Bravo!
That's awesome.
Only took 5 weeks, so I feel like that was fine. And in the spirit of that, after we get off here at 10:30 Eastern, I'm gonna be going back to streaming my favorite ghost hunting game. A friend of mine who's never played it before is gonna play with me. So I'll be streaming on Twitch. And if anyone wants to play along and try to scare me into sleeping with the lights on again, I have sound alerts set up and it's interactive and fun. So I am at the Themes on Twitch. You can scan that and it will bring you there. And then at 10:30, I'll be live.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's
and everybody
awesome.
else, where can people find you and follow you?
Oh, you can find me on all the socials at the Themes. And on Scared and Alone at scaredandalone.com as Ghost Bait, and hanging around Salem sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll go ahead and go. So you can find me. I'll be teaching at University of Magicus. I've got one coming up on Sunday. So if you are wanting to know about magic, come to universitymagicus.com. Patti Negri is there. Father Sebastian is there. Lots of people are there. Lots of magic. We're trying to get Heather Greene to get there and talk about her on the dolls.
Jason and everybody. It's a great school. Yes. universitymagicus.com or magicu.org. We have like 20 teachers now and different paths, all different, different paths. So we don't, we call it a real life Hogwarts. We do. So thank you, Richard. And where can people find you, Jason?
Often at Pan Mankey and on Twitter or on Instagram as the Silicon Valley Witch, just because I like to remind people that it's not all tech out here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Heather?
I'm going to be at Mystic South in Atlanta in mid-July, July 14th, 15th, and 16th. That's a pagan witchy conference that we have. So I am on the board for it. So I will be there and probably running around like a crazy person trying to maintain everything. But I will be there and I will be doing some classes and having some fun as well, meeting everybody. And let's see, I'll be in Minneapolis and I'm end of June. So I may wind up doing stopping in at a bookstore while I'm there and maybe doing a talk or signing or something. So I'm working on that. And other than that, you'll find me in front of a manuscript reading some really great material. So if we have any writers out there that want to write witchy material, let me know. That's what I spend all my days doing. And I love every minute of it, I have to say. And you can find me on heathergreene.net. That's where I post that's where I have all of my doings. And I also post links to my articles when they come out. I'll have one exciting one coming out tomorrow, so watch for that link on my socials. Always about witchy stuff and other occult topics. So check that out. Other than that, that's enough for me right now.
Okay, and I want to answer Tabitha. Does anyone do mediumship mentoring? Actually, that's the kind of stuff you're going to get at school. Richard-Lael does. I do. I think we have a couple other teachers that do. We have one-off classes. We have series of classes. We have one-on-one. So again, that's exactly what University Magicus or Magic U is all about. Mediumship mentoring, psychic development, spell casting, magic in several different forms. So yes, that. You can find me at pattinegri.com. And from there you can get to all my YouTube pages. You can get to all my legitimate Facebook, Patti Negri Psychic Medium. The one without the slash is the real me. Patti.Negri on Instagram. Patti Negri on Twitter, everywhere else. And again, the right ones are on my pattinegri.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I have one going out like tomorrow. Yay. With all the places I'll be going. Of course, check out my the Witching Hour, my regular podcast. A new one drops every Monday. Amazing guests like everyone here. I've done episodes. Amazing guests. And we just talk about fun and witchy and empowering kind of stuff. So that's everywhere that you get podcasts. And in video, it's on my YouTube and on paraflix.com, my streaming service. So if you like paranormal and magical and horror and all that, check out paraflix.com, Paraflix. It's a streaming service where if you figured you've already seen everything on Travel Channel and you've already seen everything on Discovery, we have 90% new content that you haven't seen. And it's good. We're real picky about it. And Travel Channel, I don't know if it died today, but my show, Ghost Adventures, just moved to Discovery as of today, which is awesome. 10 times bigger audience.
Yeah.
But that's good. Yeah. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. I got to chase around Josh Gates everywhere, my boyfriend. My husband. He was there today too. I checked it out. So anyway, that's it. We want to thank everybody. We've never been like 3 minutes early before. So do we cackle for 14 minutes?
I do have one more Black Cauldron story.
Oh, yes.
That I can fill some time with.
Yeah.
So the movie came out in 85. And then in 1988, I went to Disney World for the first time. And, I'm going through all the gift shops. And there's this weird little creature in all the gift shops. And I was like, what is this? I've never seen this. And they said it was Gurgi. They'd made a ton of Gurgis, and they basically were all 50% off because no one had seen the film and nobody knew who he was. Yeah. And I, even as somebody who at that point had read the Chronicles of Prydain and was a huge fan of the series, because he doesn't look like he does in the series, did not recognize him at all and passed on my opportunity to buy a plush Gurgi. Elanwi is the only Disney princess, too, who's not with the other Disney princesses. This movie has really been abandoned in a lot of ways by Disney. I'm surprised
because you can't sit with us as of the other princesses.
Yeah.
They want to forget this one and the Song of the South. Bad. They want to forget the existence of both of these two movies.
But at least you can still stream the Black Cauldron. You can't stream Song of the South, and for good reason.
Yeah.
For that, yes.
All I want in my life now is a plush Gurgi so I can be his only friend.
They are available. You can find them.
Can you?
eBay.
Probably, if they were half price and not made, they're probably like collectors now for her.
They seem to have made a lot, though. Like they had made a big mistake.
She's shopping.
Courtney shops during the podcast.
I found him.
Yeah.
But what is he supposed to be? He's not supposed to be like a Sasquatch. I mean, he looks like a dog.
He looks like a dog. I thought he was a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what he is in the books. Like the book's totally different. If you can Google Gurgi and see pictures of what he's supposed to look like.
I don't know what he is.
You can order him on Walmart.
Ooh.
It's like a Beanie Baby one.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a little audience for him after all.
Actually, there some people who have watched this film are absolutely fanatic about it, and they go in and they collect. There is a Funko Pop of Gorgie, whatever.
Gurgi.
There was a breakfast cereal that had him. There was a lot of these little one-off toys. So now they're there. It actually has a following. Why does it have a following? I don't know, but it has a following.
Well, to save the animal from animal cruelty.
Yeah, throwing the pig into the moat.
The pig was fine at the end. The pig was fine.
I was concerned.
There were no ham sandwiches eaten at the end of the film. The pig was fine.
No, they didn't suffer. He didn't torture. So you made it through life. You didn't mean you weren't mistreated.
After being thrown in the moat, the pig better have had a lot of food and a lot of brushing, because that's all it's good for.
Pig boy was not good.
My desperate bid to waste time has proven effective. It is now 7.
So we have one more thing. We want to thank everybody. We want to thank you for your comments, whether we pull them out there, we watch them, we love them, we thank you. Come back next week, and it's a secret what we're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do. We want to thank our producers, Rob Cohen and Christine Roth, and Co-Conspiracy. And remember to go shop for everything at mysterycontrol.com, from the panties on up to blankets and everything else. So, all right, one more thing to do at 7 o'clock. Witches go.